What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. It is a Saturday. It is game day. We'll be having a live watch along plus a match reaction at around 2 a.m. But for now, even though there's going to be about 3 streams in the next 6 hours or so, we're talking straight business. Live Palace News, as you can see from the title, new potential contract for Edouard. Do we really want to give him a new contract, or are we trying to save value? Plus more, as always, get involved in the chat and in the comment section down below if you're watching on replay. And if you haven't already done so, if you do enjoy the content, like and subscribe. It helps us out, grow the channel, as we've been doing fantastically in terms of subscriber count. We are about 50 away from the magic 5,000 subscribers. So thank you to all and each one of you. Genuinely do appreciate you all. What's going on, people? Are we enjoying the weather? Luke, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And what's going on? What are you saying? Big up D and everyone. Anxiously waiting on the game tonight. Can't wait to see more what the Academy kids have to offer. Yeah, I mean, it'll be good to see what the Academy kids have to offer. And on top of that, Jason Raksaki, he's actually joined the tour. So let's see how many minutes he gets. And can he impress once again? He's been one of the most impressive players in preseason so far. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to look for. There's a lot to look for in preseason. Our final preseason game over in America. Fingers crossed nothing gets cancelled due to the weather conditions there. Or that there may be thunderstorms. But me and Nick will be live tonight at 11:45 p.m. At least we're starting on a p.m. The last stream, it got very hard. It was hard to stay up and talk about that. But this one, I should be a bit more refreshed as it's an hour earlier. What's going on, Leon? What's going on to everyone? Hopefully you're all having a good day. A bit later than usual today. As you can see, I had to go get a haircut and freshen up. So yeah, get ready for the stream tonight. Get ready for another preseason game. What's going on, Ryan? And the comments are already starting about Edouard. We'll go through the comments as always. If you do have any questions that's not really linked to the topic that you will answer towards the end of the show, put a Q and a dot before, and I'll try to get them out. Sometimes I go on a tangent talking about these players and I do miss questions, but putting a Q and a dot before your question, it helps it a bit more easier for me to quickly spot it and pin it towards the end of the show. But let's not waste any time. Let's talk about Edouard. Enough of the introduction. And that is according to Footy Insider. So in terms of reliability, not tier 1, probably tier 2. But they've said the following, that Crystal Palace could open talks with Odsonne Edouard over a new contract in the early part of 24-25 campaign. The 26-year-old's current deal expires in less than 12 months' time. What do we think of this, people? I think personally, anyways, I'll start off and then what you lot think about this Edouard situation. It doesn't really make much sense when you look at the reports that's been coming out so far this summer, with us wanting to sell Edouard and Ayew being mentioned in the same bracket. So it doesn't really make sense to offer a player a new contract that's in that conversation about leaving a football club. But could this mean right now, anyways, that we're struggling to find potential buyers for Edouard and we want to protect his value? Because I'll be honest, as much as some of you may want Edouard to go, we ended up spending money for this player. And this player has scored goals in the Premier League. And losing him on a free deal would be kind of embarrassing from the football club. Because as much as some of us don't rate Edouard, he's not as bad as also others make him out to be as well. So for me, I think personally, if this is true, I think the club are trying to save value, of course, by not letting him go for free. But another way to look at it is, are we doing this potentially because there might not be enough interest for Edouard this summer? Or actually, the third option, which I don't think is the case, but some of you may think that's the case, or has Glasner impressed? Is Glasner impressed by Edouard and his performances so far in pre-season? Is there something that we haven't seen? I mean, the conversation has been about Edouard getting sold, but has there been maybe some internal talk to Glasner and Edouard about, there might be a player there that could fit his system? Those are the 3 options. I don't think there are any other options left on the table. But for me, I think it's an option of trying to save value for him. But then again, it might mean that we might be struggling to sell Edouard. But let's see. As a Dino said, it would have to be on reduced terms. I would get rid of Ayew and Edouard, says Luke. Blue saying, give him a new contract, but offer him half his wages unless he scores X amount of goals and then pay out the rest in bonus. Look, when we talk about giving a player reduced wages, especially half his wages, we have to also be understanding that the player has to sign this contract. Why would Edouard be willing to sign a contract with half of his wages reduced for an extended period of time when he might be able to get those wages or even more in the upcoming summer? That deal makes a lot of sense for Palace, but that deal doesn't make sense for the player to agree to it. So we have to also be realistic here as well in terms of like reducing his wages, halving his wages. That sounds great for us as a football club, but for Edouard has to be willing to sign a agreement, and I don't think he will. Why would he? Why would he sign an agreement with half of his wages reduced when he could easily leave, keep his wages as it is, and leave next summer? And I'm pretty sure someone will pay his wages. Cody said it just depends on how much we're willing to give him on his wage. I'm okay if we don't overpay him. For me, it's more than the wages. For me, we might have to pay for another year. We might have to if we want to get return on the money that we spent. As the report suggesting, he's got only a year less left on his deal. Less than actually left on his deal. He's free. He's a free man next summer. He can do whatever he wants. So when it comes to wages and trying to find wages that suits us, I don't think we're really in that power right now in this kind of time. I think Edouard's got all the power he wants. Edouard could easily say, I don't want to sign a new deal. And that's it. Next summer, plays another year for Palace, leaves next summer. So we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful. Otherwise, we will have a player that will spend around £50 million, leave us for free while scoring goals in the Premier League. Like, it's not a disaster class, Edouard. He has got some bit of talent as well. Shannon saying, wait as long as possible to offer a new contract, explore the market more first. Keep sending your questions, people. I will answer them towards the end of the show. Why should we not keep him, says Looney. Has good link-up play. He does have potential and he can score goals. Just put him to good use. Make the most of him. Maybe play him as a cam behind the striker. I don't agree that he can be a cam. I don't think he's got a creativity. I think he's very rigid with his play. I think he can score goals up front if you give him the opportunities. But in terms of the creativity and playing as a cam, I don't think he's that. And I don't think Palace do as well. That's why, Vraxaki's still here and Ismail Sarr's been signed. So that's kind of out of the equation. But in terms of he's got good link-up play, he does have potential. I don't know. I don't know if he really fits Glasner's system. I don't. And that's why I wasn't surprised at the reports suggesting that we are willing to let go of Edouard early on. And now the reports are suggesting we're on a new contract. If you had 2 and 2 together, maybe the deals right now or the club's interest in Edouard right now is not good enough. We want to use him for free. That's my thought process behind this potential rumor as well. Can you imagine even 3 years ago that would have a 15-goal striker as a backup? Great position to be in. Exactly, it is a great position to be in. And people have been talking about, we're not going to talk about Mateta today, but people have been mentioning how much is Mateta worth right now to Palace. And I've seen figures of around 40 to 50 million pounds. Now, it sounds wild because I think about 6 months or to a year ago, some people were debating is Mateta around 10 million pounds. The fact that we're talking about them figures is crazy. And it shows how much his game has changed. But saying that, I mean, we have to be, especially in the striker market, it is a very, very tricky market right now to navigate through, which I suspect Dougie Friedman will have his backup options there if one of these forwards was sold. But when we talk about figures about Mateta, who has scored a lot of goals for us last season and looked like, more than anything, looked like he can fit into Glasner's system, and we talk about figures of around 40, 50 million pounds. I do have to ask the question of, who do we bring in to replace Mateta if we spend that kind of money? Because the striker market right now is not great at all. It is. And big clubs are finding that out as well. If Guy Crest was in Coventry, maybe he could be. But of course, I suspect that Doug Friedman will have the players on his list. But then again, we do have to be careful with the striker market because Edouard has scored goals. And yeah, potentially he was potentially we're looking to sell him as well. I'm taking a piss out of half the wages. I'd rather he does not sign. Fair enough. How much was it? Around 50 million pounds, as far as I can remember. So not around too much, around 15 to 20 max, but I think it's more 15. And we should be able to get 15. And we should be able to get 15 for a player that scored in the Premier League. I think it will be worth the gamble for a side that's got promoted or a side that's trying to stay up, for example, to take that gamble on Edouard because he has scored in the Premier League. He's not a scrub. He has scored goals, but I do think he's limitations, and you basically have to feed him the ball right to his feet up front for him to be effective. That's my opinion of Edouard. But saying that, I mean, Mateta was a player that was all debating here, saying why can't he jump for the ball? That was a discussion point at some point. Why can't he jump for the ball? And look at him now. So maybe if he gets more opportunities at Palace, maybe he could come good. Only time will tell. But from what I've seen so far in terms of limited opportunities, especially last season when Mateta was playing well, I think it's a bit hard to see where he fits in Glasner's system. So yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. Benteke is a goat saying keeping Eddie is an easy option, but I'd rather move on. I agree as well. And I think the club, as I said, are willing to probably explore that market, but we also have to see if there's any potential buyers right now as well. Stephen saying Edouard is a decent backup striker and should be starting in the first few games as Mateta will be out. Also, it's looked like he's playing the Oliver Glasner away from the preseason so far. Have we been impressed by Edouard in the preseason game so far? He scored a goal against Crawley. Was solid against Wolves. Crawley game was a bit better for him. But yeah, I mean, have we been impressed by Edouard so far in pre-season? Of course, now is the perfect opportunity for him to prove himself to Glasner because of the fact that Mateta ain't there and we have been lacking striker options. Have we been convinced? Has anyone, I'm genuinely asking, has anyone been convinced by Edouard from this pre-season tour saying, you know what, there might be a player there that Glasner could get the best out of him and he could fit the system? If you have, let me know. If you haven't, let me know as well in the chat. Blue saying not Prem teams anyways, but I'm guessing many teams in other leagues will offer him loads in wages either. I think someone will. He scored the goals in the Premier League, and that alone, I mean, someone will have to offer him some kind of deal. I'll be surprised if no one would be after Edouard if we're willing to sell him. Saying that, so far, I mean, clubs have been rumored to be buying Edouard or interested in Edouard. I'm a bit surprised about that because it has been a bit quiet. I mean, the reports have just suggested that he's looking to leave. But if you're enjoying the stream, people, please hit the like button if you haven't already done so. Helps us out a lot. So thank you to all of you that's done that as well. But thank you for your support anyways, to each and every single one of you. Cody said Edouard is good enough as a backup, but if a good deal comes, we should let him go. What's a good deal? What is a good deal for Edouard? Is it £50 million? Is it basically getting money back, or can we make a profit in Edouard? I don't think making a profit in Edouard is wild. I don't think it's a wild claim. I genuinely don't think that. I think if we present him in a way that suits, I show him the strengths of Edouard because he has got some strengths. He has scored goals in the Premier League, and I think that is very important because, you know, it's not easy to find a striker that can score goals in the Premier League. If we can prove his strengths, maybe we can make a tiny bit of profit. But I think the minimum right now for me is that we get our money back for Edouard if we were to sell it. That should be the minimum. But that depends, of course, on a buyer's market. We can give the value, but it depends on who actually wants to go ahead with it. Do you think the West Ham game is a make or break for Eddie? I wouldn't say it's a make or break. I feel like a decision's already been made about Edouard's future. I think that's already been made, and that's why he has been rumored with IU to be up for sale in this window. So I wouldn't say it's a make or break. But I think when you're looking at players that are trying to prove themselves, I think for Raksaki, I wouldn't say make or break as well. I think that's a very strong word to use in a game like this. But I think it's another opportunity for Raksaki to prove himself. I don't know. Maybe Glasner doesn't want to see more of him. But for me, I feel like a decision has already been made on Edouard's future at the football club. So, yeah, I guess only time will tell. He'll be staying, I suspect. So yeah. You can see a club like Leicester or Southampton paying 15 million for Eddie. Yeah, exactly. There should be someone trying to pay money for Edouard. Let's move on to the next subject, and I'll go through some of the questions because there is another bit of rumor today, but Edouard was the main talking point. Let's talk about what's come out from Fabrizio Romano. A few of you have been mentioning Wesley. Wesley's been mentioned a few times, who is over in Brazil, I believe. But those rumors about the forward and bids being involved are not true, according to Fabrizio Romano. Crystal Palace has spoke to his agents, as did several other clubs around Europe, as his agents are discussing his opportunity with many clubs. Nothing is imminent right now. So, in terms of Wesley, are there any bids and this and that? No. There's no bids. There's no bids for now, according to Fabrizio Romano anyway. So yeah, I mean, it seems like the agent is kind of tapping on doors and trying to find out where his player could fit in more than anything at this current moment of time, based on the fact that, you know, other clubs in Europe have been interested in him. Is a player that's been rumored, I think, for the past few days or so, but nothing is imminent so far. Nothing is pretty much confirmed. So yeah, I wouldn't really get our hopes high on him at this moment of time. Stephen saying, I'm confident that Glasner will get the best out of every player who wants it bad enough. So yeah, I mean, he's a manager that's proven himself in the past as well with strikers, that he'll get the best out of, you know, forwards and players in other positions. So it just depends on Edouard. It depends on if Glasner thinks that Edouard even fits him in the first place. So yeah, it's a combination of things. A combination, as you said, there's only so much a manager can do. A player needs to be wanting it as well. And he looked okay so far in preseason. For me, I'm not going to say. And by the way, for those who are new to the channel, Edouard more than Mateta at some point. I'm not going to even deny that. But saying that, I just don't know if he fits Glasner's system. Like, yes, he's been trying a bit harder in these preseason games, etc. But I just don't know. I just don't know if that's enough. I don't know if that's enough. But today's report is suggesting that we might be a new contract for Edouard, and you can't rule out the possibility that maybe Glasner has been impressing preseason. There are three options that I've listed in terms of what news could mean. Could it mean that Glasner's actually impressed, or if it's not? Could it mean that we're trying to save value and we don't want to lose him for free next summer? There's different scenarios. So it could be the case that he's impressed Glasner, but I'm not exactly too sure. Now let's go through some of the questions. If you have any questions, put a Q and a dot before it. Let me quickly answer this. Newcastle fan here. I think Gay is brilliant centre back, one of the best players in Euros, in my opinion. Do you think 60 to 70 a fair price? I do. Yeah, I think that's a fair price. Well, realistically, I would have liked around 70 to 80, but with 2 years left on his deal, and if the reports are true that he is not willing to sign a new contract, I think right now around 60 to 70 million pounds could come a long way. Look, I've said this before, and I'll talk to Pete from Loaded Mag NUFC as well. Make sure to check them out. Brilliant Newcastle content. And he watched the stream yesterday. I spoke about Gay yesterday, and he said, I was a bit confused. He said, you're saying that he's your best defender, but you're still happy to sell him. Two things can be right. Gay is our best defender. He's our best defender. But the reason why, and I'm not going to talk about Gay today because I spoke about him yesterday, but the reason why I'll be open to selling him is because, one, the replacements being mentioned, I think, are good enough to step in. And two, we saw it last year. Gay barely played any football under Glasner, and we didn't have any problems in defense because Glasner got the best out of the play. I think this season gets the best out of the defenders as well. So I'm not worried at all. I think selling Gay for around 60 to 70 million pounds, we reinvest that money and become a better side, despite him being our best defender. He can be our best defender, but losing him still wouldn't cause that much damage to us. One, we haven't seen Gay under Glasner, and two, the replacements are good enough. So I think it's a win-win situation if he's not winning a new contract. So yeah, I mean, we can move on. I think two things can be right as well. I mean, we can afford to let Mark go, exactly. So yeah, let's go over with the questions. Get involved, people. If you have any questions, we'll answer them before wrapping up. As I said, we're not going to go on for too long today because we have got a live watch along at around 11:45 p.m. UK time for the West Ham game, and then a live match reaction as well. So there'll be 3 streams in the next 6 hours. So loads of Palace content coming your way. So we won't waffle on. We'll go through the questions and we'll wrap up. Cody saying, if Edouard goes, do you think Sarr could be a backup strike option? Over 6 foot, very quick, seems like a good fit. I didn't mention this yesterday, and this is one to watch. I think Sarr's build, as you said, in terms of height, pace, etc., I think there's a player there to be a striker in Glasner's system. I think there is. So I'm not writing that off. And people have mentioned, well, how does it work if Sarr was to stay and right tackle was to stay? As I said, Sarr could potentially be a backup front. I'm not writing off. If you even watch videos of Sarr and you look at Mateta, what he does as well, I think Sarr just needs to be a bit polished. But with the right coaching, and we've got Oliver Glasner, I think there could be a surprise in terms of where he could play. So yes, I do think that he could be a backup striker option under Glasner. But yeah, fair point. His 1-on-1 finishing is terrible, Cody. But with the right coaching, maybe we can get him. We can improve him in that area. Look, he's not the oldest player is around 26 years old, and he has signed a 5-year deal. So we are putting our hopes in Sarr. It's not like he just signed for the sake of signing. So maybe with the right coaching, maybe we could improve that element of his game, and he could be a backup option. Carrie saying, how many seasons do you think we get out of Wharton? Cat's here. Out of Wharton, we potentially get, I don't know, it all depends on how next season goes and how serious teams are. Thankfully, well, is the case, but I don't think there's a release clause for Adam Wharton, which is a positive. But we'll get as much as possible. And if there isn't a release clause, he's still under contract as well. If Adam Wharton was to leave us, and if he continues in the same amount of form that he's right now, we're getting very good money for Adam Wharton. So, I mean, I think we're in a win-win situation without a release clause. Hopefully there isn't any release in this current moment of time, which I don't think is the case. Cody saying, when do we see France back on the pitch, you think? No clue. No clue. Seems like there's another injury there as well. So it all depends on, the situation. It's funny, no one's really, well, I guess he hasn't had a press conference. Someone over in America, if they can ask Glasner the question, because I know they've been doing open, well, it's too late now because we're coming back, but if someone actually asked a question, it would have been good. Like, what's happening in France? This cat is playing money. Come on, Bonji. So yeah, if someone can ask that, but I have no idea. It depends on how serious that injury is. Edouard looks scared to shoot, which is definitely a confident thing. Yeah, maybe if he's a bit more confident. This cat is hilarious. I wish you could see what she's doing. But yeah, maybe it could be a confidence thing. Oh my goodness. What is this cat doing? Maybe it could be a confidence thing with Edouard, because we've seen with Mateta, for example. Mateta, he struggled with confidence as well for a bit, and now he's just scoring goals left, right, center. Evil saying, is anything known about Doucouré, our best CMDM in years before Water came in? Well, he was training by himself, I think, over in the previous game, before the previous game. Let's see if he actually plays today. I don't want to take any risks with him. Nothing seems serious with Doucouré, so fingers crossed that he should be back sooner rather than later. Do you think we are done in transfer market? No, we're not done. No, we're not done, Leon. I would be shocked if we're done. We're not done in transfer market. Even after we signed Sarr, Bobby Manzi released a report saying that we are looking for more attackers. God knows if that's strikers or number 10, and looking to improve the wing back area. So we won't be done. We still got money to spend from the Elise money, despite signing Riyadh, Kamada, and also Ismail Assar. We've done some fantastic business so far in terms of value for money. And yeah, we've got improvements to make, especially for depth. So I don't think we are. Score predictions tonight. Score predictions. It's very hard to predict the friendly against West Ham, but it would be nice. I mean, today we could potentially lift a trophy. I know it's a pre-season talk, but that's a possibility as well. But I'm gonna go. Look, I said it yesterday, and I might have jinxed it, but I can't remember the last time we lost. That feeling. I think someone said City. I can't remember that game. I genuinely can't remember that game. It's been a while since we played football. So today with West Ham, I think they lost against Wolves. I think they'll be up for this game. They've signed a few players. It seems like the confidence is high over there. I think 2-1 Palace. Let's go 2 Palace. Raksaki is there, so hopefully Raksaki will score. But for the watch along, we'll be here. Don't forget, people, we will be here 11:45 p.m. and I'm expecting you to join us as well. It should be good. It should be good fun in the last preseason game over in America. Angus said Edouard would be good backup to Mateta going forward. Fair enough. Whose account better, Wharton or Doucouré? What do you mean? Who's better as a footballer, or you could get more value for money? I think Wharton is a very scary player in terms of how good he is. I think they're both fantastic. And our midfield is going to be unreal next season. Fingers crossed, no one jinx it. But as they stay fit, I think Wharton and Doucouré is a fantastic duo to have in Glasner's system. So I'm very excited about that. Patrick saying Doucouré trained regularly yesterday. So that's good. That's good. Hopefully he plays exactly anything serious. I think we were a bit cautious in the previous game. We just don't want to rush him, which makes sense. I mean, if he plays really good against West Ham. John saying I would want more than 15 for Eddie. Striker's expensive and he can score goals in the Prem, so he's a valuable asset. a decent run of games, goals, and the lad would be a hot commodity. He can score goals in the Premier League, and at times, I mean, we've got to see Edouard play, of course, week in, week out, and appearance off the bench as well. So sometimes we might undervalue him, but the striker market, as you mentioned, it is not great right now. If Edouard, who's a striker who has scored goals in the Premier League, we could get more. We could make a profit on Edouard. I wouldn't rule it out. So yeah, let's see what happens with that. Jack saying, do you think Arsenal fancies his chance of getting us into Europe by Cups? I reckon he sees more chance in that than the league. Well, I think Glasner's assistant actually spoke about it about a month ago now. I can't keep track of time. There's a lot that goes on. But before pre-season started anyways, he spoke about, maybe a month or a bit longer than that. He spoke about, what's the objectives next season in an interview. And he did mention that we want to be single digits in the Premier League. So that is the aim. So top 10 finish again, probably a bit higher than 10. But cup competitions, we need to take that seriously. That gives us all a hope. Of course, we want to take every competition seriously, as well as the league and the cup. And we are kind of building a squad that can balance out the mixture of two as well. I think that is the main target point this summer, to build out depth options. And we are doing that so far, and we will be doing that hopefully with more signings. So, I mean, who wouldn't love a cup? I think that is the objective, to win something. Football is about winning. And it's funny as a Palace fan that I'm saying that, but it is about winning. So that should be the aim, to win something. We're not going to be winning the Premier League, but top 10 finish and a good cup. That should be the aim. So let's see what we do exactly. It's pre-season. Putting any pressure was counterproductive. It's for squad readiness, not for result. Yes, for squad readiness. Yeah. I don't really care about the result itself in pre-season. But saying that, I disagree at this point of pre-season that it's just about fitness. I think squad readiness, we can count that into tactics as well and get to know tactics. So if the team is going out there and playing absolutely terrible, then that will be a worry sign for me more than the actual result. So it's more about how we perform, as well as the fitness, of course. I think it's a combination of both. John saying, do you think as currently constructed, we can finish top 10 again? Yeah, we can. Elise is going to be a miss, but I think Kamada is going to be a very good signing for us next season. So I think he can slot right in. And we're improving the depth. We still will be. We've done it so far. We've still got areas to improve on. So yeah, I think top 10 is not total. I'm not saying that we can't finish top 10 right now with the squad that we have and with the players that we've been rumored with. So that should be the minimum aim. By the way, if you're enjoying it, people, hit the like button if you haven't already done so. Thank you to all of you that have. Ume and Rashan are probably most likely to get minutes tonight. Let's see with the youngsters, because Glasner did say, that's why I wasn't surprised in the watch along that he made all those changes at halftime. He did say that we're looking at 45 minutes after the Crawley game. He said this. We're looking at 45 minutes in a Wolves game for every player. Of course, 2 players didn't get that because of the amount of players on the bench, which he stuck to his words. And he did say in a West Ham game, we will see, depending on the fitness of some of these players. Some of them may play more, some may play less. So tonight, I'm not expecting the 11 changes that we saw, or the 10 changes that we saw against Wolves in our last preseason game. I think we might have a squad that plays a bit longer, especially some players, and some players may play shorter than expected. So it's going to be a bit more, see where everyone is currently at. Yeah, you want to see the team play well, but you also want to see the manager feel free to rotate more than you would in a normal game, even if it means to weaken the side. Yeah, I mean, 2 things can happen. I mean, team can play well, but of course, if there are rotations, I think we saw it even against Wolves, that we had a bunch of youth prospects trying to prove themselves. And I think they played better in the second half for the youth team than we did in the first half. So it's hard to see how they are. But yeah. I'm not getting up to watch us lose 4-2. Fair enough. But serious about giving Glasner the tools to do well this season. We need a minimum of 2 players of the quality to play in first 11. I think with all the signings that we made, they've got a quality to play in first 11. I think that's the thing about it. And we haven't made signings so far that are quality down. That's why I think Saar, Kamada, and Riyad are quality depth options. But yeah. Just joined, bit disappointed, was hoping to saw Eddie. I did say, I'll say go ahead, start the stream. I did mention I just say that this doesn't really take away the fact that we're not willing to sell Eddie, like, because the rumors have been that we're looking to sell Edouard so far anyways in the summer. But this could be a case of we don't want to lose him on a free because he's got less than 12 years left on his 12 years. Imagine if we gave a 12-year contract to Edouard. Less than 12 months on his current deal. So it all depends on whether there's interest or not. And also losing Edouard for free would also hurt as well, regardless of what you think about him, because there is value there for Edouard that we could get out of him, 100%. D, we're not going to win the league. Oliver Glasner, hold my beer now. We're not going to get into this conversation about winning the league. Take it a game at a time. My mentality, even last season, was a game at a time. And going into next season against Brentford, that run from last season is continuing. We're still 7 games unbeaten. So I want us to continue that form. But a game at a time. I'm not looking at the next 10 or 15 games or so. I'm looking at literally game at a time. And we have to start the season strong. Benteke said I expect Jess to start, and I think Johnson will as well because he didn't get minutes. Potentially, yes. D, now keeping Eddie, do you think we'll get striker? No, we are not Eddie, by the way. I did not say that. There's potentially a new contract offer for Edouard. I'm not saying we're keeping Eddie. And if he signs a new deal, then you don't expect him to leave this summer. But saying that, he does sign a new deal and he stays at the football club this summer, but will we get a new striker? That's a very good question. I'm not too sure. I mean, we'll have 3 strikers, and surely if we give Edouard a new contract, then is there a need for getting a new striker? I think it'll be a bit hard. Yeah, Ozo did score, which was good. Derby fans already love him, which as I said, it was expected. I want him to go boss it in the Championship and then come back to the following season, which I think he will do. Imagine a 12-year contract for Edouard. I don't know. That just came out of my mouth. As Dean, you're saying, if we sell Eddie, do we just put Sarr as his backup, Ebbs, France, Kamada, and Jesse either side? That could happen, but preferably, I would like us to. When did you come? I would like us to buy another striker. There have been 1 or 2 strikers that's been mentioned, but let's see. Let's see if we do actually sell Eddie right now. Today's talks about a new contract, potential new contract. Anyway, Jez, for me, is homegrown, at least a replacement. If you watch the home game against Nottingham last season, I rate Jez highly. Hopefully, he does get a chance. And I'll be honest, so in 3rd of August, not 2 weeks till the season starts, Championship starts, I believe, next week. It is looking that more than likely that we are going to give him the opportunity. So fingers crossed that he gets opportunity today and he stays with us, because I don't want him to go out. I don't think he needs to go out on loan to the Championship. I think you could get that opportunity at Palace with the talent that he has got. Mateta, of course, scored as well yesterday, not today, and Ozo scored today. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So players are scoring for Palace. But look, people, I'm going to wrap it up here. If you just joined us, hit the like button, subscribe, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. We'll be live in roughly around 2 hours, 2 hour to 3 hours time for the live watch along. So make sure to check that out, and also live match reaction after the game ends as well. So hopefully we'll catch up with you there. But that's it for now. Live Palace news. And until next time, up.